Welcome to this dynamic explainer on the beautiful game. Football, or soccer, depending on where you're tuning in from, might seem incredibly simple on the surface. Just put the ball in the net, right? But beneath that simple objective lies this beautifully complex ecosystem of tactics, rules, and hyper-specialized skills. Today, we're going to unpack the blueprint of this sport together, starting from the overarching rules that govern the pitch all the way down to the fundamental techniques you absolutely need to execute at a high level. If you're ready to master the intricacies of football, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First up, we'll establish the pitch and the ultimate objective. Second, we'll look at the essential rules of the game. Third, we're going to map out player positions and formations. Fourth, we'll move into mastering basic ball skills. And finally, the art of shooting. So it's a logical journey straight from the macro rules down to the micro techniques.
All right, Section 1, the pitch and the objective, the basics of the battlefield.
So at its absolute core, the game is essentially a geometric battle. It's 11 players per team, 10 outfielders moving dynamically across the pitch, and exactly one goalkeeper. The unified objective? Super simple. Score more goals than your opponent. But honestly, figuring out how to organize those 11 moving pieces to systematically outsmart the opponent's 11, well, that's where the true tactical magic happens. A standard match is going to demand 90 minutes of pure stamina, split right down the middle into two 45-minute halves. And here's the catch. The clock continuously runs. It doesn't stop for out-of-bounds plays. So referees account for delays like injuries, substitutions, or video reviews by adding stoppage time at the end of each half. And let me tell you, this added time is incredibly tense. It is often where the absolute most dramatic, game-defining moments actually happen.
Now, take a look at how the pitch is zoned, because this is absolutely crucial. That 18-yard penalty box, it isn't just painted grass for decoration. It is a critical area where the rules fundamentally change. Inside this box, the goalkeeper is legally allowed to use their hands. And even more importantly for the defenders, if you commit a foul inside this 18-yard area, it results in a massive scoring opportunity via a penalty kick. We've also got the smaller 6-yard goal box, which is designated specifically for goal kicks. Oh, and if you're navigating a league format, just remember the math. A win earns your team 3 points, while grinding out a draw secures 1 point.
Moving right along to Section 2, essential rules of the game. Keeping the beautiful game fair.
Okay, before we even look at fouls, we have to address the elephant in the room. It is quite literally one of the most notorious, frequently debated rules globally. What exactly is offside? I mean, it halts incredible attacking runs, it causes immense frustration, and yet it's absolutely essential for preventing goal hanging and keeping the tactical integrity of the game intact. So let's break it down once and for all.
Here is the deal. The crucial point is that offside is entirely about where you are positioned at the exact moment the pass is played to you. If you are closer to the goal than both the ball and the second-to-last defender when your teammate actually strikes the ball, you're offside. Plain and simple. You can't just camp out near the opponent's goal waiting for a long, easy pass. You really have to time your run perfectly to stay behind or level with that defender until the ball actively leaves your teammate's foot.
Now, beyond positioning, players have to navigate some pretty strict behavioral rules enforced by the referee's card system. You've probably seen this. A yellow card is basically a formal warning for a reckless tackle, delaying the game, or showing dissent to the ref. But if you rack up 2 yellow cards in one match, that instantly turns into a red card. Notice how a straight red card can also just be issued immediately for things like violent conduct or deliberately using a hand to stop a clear goal. And the absolute kicker here. If you get a red card, you are ejected, and your coach cannot replace you. Playing a man down forces a massive tactical shift and completely alters the entire dynamic of the game. There are a few other mechanics that dictate the flow of the match that we should quickly touch on. When the ball crosses the touchlines, play restarts with a throw-in, which means both feet have to be on the ground, and it's a two-handed throw from behind the head. If it crosses the end line, it's either a goal kick or a corner kick, which is entirely dependent on who touched it last. Also, the advantage rule is just brilliant. If a team gets fouled but retains possession with a strong attacking opportunity, the referee just waves play on. It stops the game from pausing for every minor trip and keeps the momentum alive. And naturally, today's modern game heavily utilizes VAR, the video assistant referee, to meticulously review major incidents like goals and penalties.
All right, Section 3, player positions and formations, finding your role on the pitch. So, there are dozens of ways to tactically arrange a team, but let's look at one of the most widely adopted modern setups out there, the 4-2-3-1 formation.
Reading this from back to front, you have 4 defenders. These are your tall, physical center backs to anchor the defense, flanked by high-stamina left and right backs who are relentlessly running up and down the flanks. In front of them, you have 2 defensive midfielders acting as a shield to tackle and distribute the ball. Ahead of them are 3 highly creative attacking midfielders and wingers, whose entire job is generating chances. And finally, sitting at the very top of the formation is your one striker, the focal point, whose primary directive is to finish those chances. You know, historically, these positions are tied to specific jersey numbers that represent highly specific roles. The number 1 is always the goalkeeper, the vocal commander of the defense. The number 6 is that central defensive midfielder, the real anchor of the team. Then you have the number 8, who is the engine, the box-to-box midfielder running relentlessly between both penalty areas. The number 10 is reserved for the creative genius, the playmaker who dictates the attack and finds those impossible passes. And the number 9? That's your traditional out-and-out striker, the apex predator in the box.
But listen, football tactics are highly fluid, which brings us to an incredible tactical innovation, the false 9. Imagine you're number 9. Your primary striker suddenly decides they aren't going to stand up against the center backs anymore. Instead, they drop deep backwards into the midfield. This creates absolute chaos. The opposing defenders are suddenly facing this massive dilemma. Do they abandon their defensive line to follow the striker, leaving a massive gap behind them to be exploited? Or do they stay put and allow that striker to create an overwhelming numerical advantage right in the middle of the pitch? Manipulating space like this is honestly just as deadly as pure physical speed.
Section 4. Mastering Basic Ball Skills. Moving from tactics to technique.
Now, you can understand all the tactics in the world, but if your technical execution isn't there, the whole system just falls apart. The absolute foundational skill in football is passing and receiving. You should always start by utilizing the inside of your foot. When you're receiving a pass, you want to turn your foot horizontally to basically cushion the ball dead in front of you. And when you're distributing it back out, you plant your non-kicking foot so it points directly at your target and strikes smoothly through the ball with that wide inside surface. Precision right here literally dictates the entire tempo of the match. Okay, so once you secure the ball, moving with it efficiently is your next priority. Unlike passing, when you are dribbling into open space, you actually want to use the top outside edge of your foot to push the ball forward in stride. The crucial mechanics here, staying on your toes with slightly bent knees and taking small, quick steps. Taking a massive, heavy touch is pretty much a guaranteed way to just hand possession over to the other team. Small steps keep the ball glued to you, allowing for instant changes in direction. And crucially, practice using both feet. Becoming two-footed makes you an absolute nightmare for anyone to defend against. When a defender is closing you down rapidly, having a tool belt of efficient skill moves is totally necessary to retain possession. And these moves don't even have to be flashy to be devastatingly effective. Take the pullback. It's incredibly reliable. You just put the bottom of your foot on the ball and drag it backward, instantly putting distance between the ball and a reaching defender. You can use cuts to sharply pivot angles, a shoulder drop to shift a defender's body weight one way before exploding in the other direction, or the classic fake kick, where you wind up for an imaginary strike, freeze the defense, and calmly dribble right past them. And finally, Section 5, the art of shooting. Finding the back of the net.
All right, now for the execution phase. This is what it's all about. When aiming, particularly in a high-pressure one-on-one situation with the keeper, your optimal strategy is always to shoot away from the goalkeeper and directly into the corners. A really common tactical error is dribbling way too close to the keeper before striking. If you close that distance too much, the keeper's body naturally spreads out and completely suffocates every possible angle. You really want to execute your shot from a bit further out, while those geometric angles to the far corners are still wide open.
Striking the ball from distance with real power requires very specific mechanics. It starts with a strong, grounded run-up to build your momentum. Next, you plant your non-kicking foot roughly 20 centimeters beside the ball. This establishes absolute balance. Now, this next step is absolutely vital. You must lock your ankle tight. Think of a baseball bat, right? It hits hard because it's completely solid. A loose ankle completely absorbs and ruins your power. Strike just below the center of the ball using the dense bone on the top of your foot and drive through with a straight, purposeful follow-through to send it flying. I want to add one final, super crucial tip regarding your body posture.
Leaning far backward when you shoot, attempting to sort of artificially lift the ball, is exactly how you end up ballooning the shot high over the crossbar and into the stands. It happens all the time. You must actively work to keep your chest and your upper body leaning over the ball as you strike it. Having this structural discipline ensures you maintain control, keeping your shots low, driven, and significantly harder for any goalkeeper to react to and save.
Well, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, haven't we? From the geometric layout of the 18-yard box, to the tactical brilliance of the false nine, the intricacies of the offside rule, and the precise mechanics of a power shot. You are now equipped with the structural blueprint of exactly how this global phenomena operates. So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative question to ponder. Now that you understand the mechanics of the pitch, which tactical position are you going to master first? Thank you so much for watching this explainer. Stay curious, and I'll see you out on the pitch.